Hey everybody, I'm John Cena, 16-time WWE champ, saying support WrestleTalk, because they talk about wrestling, and I like it. So do us all a favor and subscribe, please. And thank you.
Support WrestleTalk!
Is Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose using the real-life Roman Reigns emotional punch too soon? I'm Ollie Davis, this is the other one, Luke Owen. Welcome to the WrestleRamble review edition of Raw, which is sponsored by Beer 52. Visit www.beer52.com/WrestleTalk to get your free case of craft beer. UK viewers only. We'll be trying this one after the break. But yes, just to get this out of the way, I don't think it's too soon.
No, and neither do I.
Okay,
Thank you for watching.
On.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose storyline, which was the huge cliffhanger after last week's episode. They win the Raw Tag Team Championships, tag team belts that were nowhere seen on this show.
Well, I thought the same thing. However, I've spotted them because I was doing images for the news today and I got the brackets for the World Cup. And in Seth Rollins' picture, he is holding the Raw Tag Team Championship. So, he is still Raw Tag Team Champion.
And the Intercontinental
Champion.
So he's dual strap, double strap.
Yeah, he's got both belts. Actually, I think both belts are on top of each other. But he has got it. So that is the only mention of the tag belts on this show. And I only saw it when I was saving images for the news.
Well, so they win the tag team titles, but Dean Ambrose turns on Seth Rollins. Why does he turn on Seth Rollins? We don't know. We didn't know last week. We still don't know this week because Dean Ambrose was entirely silent. He was incredible face acting. Really enjoyed the acting on his face.
Yep.
The nose, the lips and the snarl.
And there's
great face acting.
And this kind of brings up something I wanted to talk to you about because I wasn't here for like Dean Ambrose's post SummerSlam return, like for the couple of weeks because I was away on my honeymoon. But you and Laurie, when you were doing your episodes, were talking about, God, it'd be so awesome if Dean doesn't cut a promo whatsoever. And wouldn't it have been amazing if they'd still stuck with that? So really the only word you'd have heard him say was what he was shouting last week, which was like, why him? Why am I doing this? And attacking him, and then this week not saying anything again. And just really like adding that element to his character that he doesn't cut promos anymore.
That would have been amazing. It would have created so much vagueness and intrigue around Ambrose. And they did that. They had that there for 3 weeks. It was like, what? I was like really getting into it. What are the first words that Ambrose is going to say since his return? And then he just cut a promo backstage.
It was a comedy segment with Jinder, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so,
But either way, Dean was absolutely awesome in this segment. I thought it was a really cool segment as well. Like, as you say, like all of the drama that came from the last week angle was in what really wasn't said. And it was Seth constantly like reading across him saying like, it's okay.
Yes.
Like, it's fine, we can work through this. But Dean constantly attacking him again. And then Seth came out here to demand answers. And he said that I'm now a 3-time tag team champion. He said I should be out here with Dean, but I'm not. And in some way, I blame myself. I blame myself for what I did 4 years ago. And I really don't think Dean's ever got over it. And he called out Dean. Dean didn't answer to his music. Instead, he came out in the crowd area like the Shield used to. And that just almost, it didn't anger Seth. But it annoyed him because he was just like, oh, come, now you're just mocking the Shield. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was great. And Dean just wouldn't say anything. I thought it was a really, really cool and effective segment.
Yeah, and Seth, and this is when, like, Seth started to, because initially he started understanding, didn't he? Like you said, maybe we could still work this out, Dean. Come out here. Tell me what you're going through, man. This is like a tough time for all of us. And then maybe we can sort this out. That was the impression I got that Seth started this segment as. But then, he just kind of gets angry. I mean, if you want to do some armchair psychology, he's probably angry with himself because he does blame a bit of Seth. Seth sees a bit of the worst kind of Rollins in what Dean's done. So that's going to make you angry too. But it was when, like, Seth, I thought Ambrose's performance, just with the face acting, that was sublime. I think that was very, very good.
A lot of lip curling.
What a sneer. That should be his finishing move. Just sneer someone, they fall over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go for the pin. But unfortunately, it was so good. I don't think many people are going to talk about how excellent Seth's babyface promo was.
Yeah, really.
Because, like you said, he started off understanding, and then he went through the motions of, I'm annoyed with you, mate. No, actually, you know what?
Yeah.
And he got really angry with him, and that's when he uses, how dare you do that on the same night we find out about Roman Reigns' leukemia diagnosis. And it's like, I can see why people would take offense to that, because essentially what you're saying is, how dare you do this pro wrestling thing using this real life
tragedy.
thing.
Yes. Yeah, and I get that, and that's what a lot of people said last week, was that it was too soon to do the Dean heel turn. Like, that night really should have ended with just Seth and Dean celebrating, the Shield brothers celebrating, toasting their victory to their brother, who unfortunately has had to take some time off because of a very serious real life illness. But they didn't. Like, Vince McMahon decided, tonight is the night we're going to do the turn, presumably because, as we said last week, no one will see this coming. You'll never see it coming, like Mandarin said in Iron Man 3.
You will never see this coming.
And it was... And I thought it was really effective. And I said last week, and I still sort of stand by this, I'm so glad they did it last week, because not only does it... I don't think... At the time, I didn't really think they were using the Roman Reigns leukemia thing to fuel this heel turn. It was just almost like, God, we've had this really dreadful news. But remember, pro wrestling. Let's snap back into this sort of make believe world that we all love. And because I didn't see it coming, it was the most shocking heel turn I've seen probably since Ciampa turned on Johnny Gargano at NXT TakeOver last year. So I thought it was really effective last week. And I thought it was really effective this week as well. And that was mostly down to Seth's promo work and Dean's facial acting. And I suppose I haven't really conflated the two together of this storyline and Roman's real world thing. Maybe that's me. I've just not made that connection to the two.
Well, it's definitely there. As an
underlying thing, though, like Seth didn't come out and say, you turned heel because Roman's got leukemia.
No, but he says, I'm really angry with you because you turned heel, sure, but I'm more angry with you because you did it on that night. What the hell, man? Yeah. So I think it is, quite a large component of the whole storyline. But the difference is, I don't have any issue with them using this in a storyline. So if I was a wrestler, and I'm pretty sure I'd feel this way if I was an actual wrestler, I would want anything to be turned into a storyline.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like, okay, this sucks. I'm out injured, or I've got this thing that's happened. My wife's left me. But you know what? Let's turn it into a storyline. And you almost give the respect. There's an argument to be made that turning this into such a good storyline and an emotional way to work through grief, not grief because he's not past, but these very sad feelings through fiction is actually honouring the fact that Roman has been diagnosed with leukemia.
Which is a very wrestling thing to do. Like when Paul Bearer passed away, they used that in CM Punk's feud with The Undertaker, of them juggling the urn. When Eddie Guerrero passed away, they used that. But that's the problem, and that's the difference between the two, is what you don't want this to be is that to be the main component of this storyline is Roman's leukemia, and that is what is fueling the drama. And we're just going to use a horrible word, exploit that to tell a wrestling storyline, which is unfortunately what they did with Eddie's death. Any time a heel wanted to get heat, all they had to say was Eddie's dead, he's in hell, like that Randy Orton promo with Rey Mysterio. And they just kept going back to that well over and over and over again, to the point where it really felt exploitative. Whereas, you could have just had Rey's story of I want to win the championship in honor of Eddie. That's kind of a fine way to do it. But then to use it as heel heat is bad.
Yeah.
And I suppose we won't really know if they're looking to use leukemia as heel heat for Dean until Dean reveals his reason for why he turned heel. So as I said, the two are obviously connected, but at the moment I'm not joining those dots together because it's not been outright said, that is why I have turned heel.
Yeah, it's a really tricky balance. And I think in the Eddie Guerrero instance, that was not nice. No. I didn't enjoy it. And one of the largest parts is the performers, if they're comfortable with it. And by all accounts, Rey Mysterio and Randy Orton were not cool with that being said. But like the company was like, no, go out there and do it. Whereas, like, hopefully, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns have all signed off on this storyline. Like, yes, we want to do this storyline. We don't feel it's exploitative. So you get around it that way. I don't think this is exploitative at all. I think it's being done very sensitively and, you know, quite fascinatingly and dramatically engaging. But yeah, they do, like, it did lead Seth. Like, that motivation, that real emotional motivation. There was a moment here when Seth got so angry, I forgot I was watching fake wrestling. I was like, I want to see Seth kick Dean's ass.
Yeah.
Because Seth, like, goes, you know, like, you're a cold-hearted bastard, and I'm going to make your life a living hell, you son of a bitch. And he, like, he was
tripping over words
Yeah.
because he was about to say something that internally he might regret at a later time, or something he's not allowed to say on a PG show, but it didn't feel scripted. Like, you compare this promo to, say, the Nia Jax Ember Moon segment that happened on the show. Like, it's night and day in terms of someone taking scripted material but making it sound real, and two people who literally go, ba, 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 ba. Yeah, exactly. And it may as well
Terrence
just be
and Phillip.
Muppets. Yeah, just big flapping heads. And, like, Seth had this really awesome line, and it was probably my favourite line of this. He's like, you know, at least when I stabbed you in the back, like, I stabbed you in the eye as well. And I told you why I did this. I was completely upfront and honest about it. Like, why wouldn't you give me the same courtesy? I thought it was a really nice thing, because that's Seth admitting, mate, I was a dick as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying I'm innocent in all of this. I was a proper dick to you. And this is probably one of the reasons why. But just tell me. Like, just tell me why.
I really appreciated that line, because that's something that's a big flaw with the Charlotte-Becky Lynch storyline. It's like, let's just not mention that Charlotte was a heel for a very long time and did all these things and worse that Becky's doing right now.
Yeah.
Let's just not mention that at all. Whereas Seth mentions it, and just the act of bringing it up almost not excuses it, but narratively it makes it a lot neater. Like, I brought it up, there it is. It's out the way now. We can move on.
Yeah, that's why I think Seth's such a great character, is because he is one of those people that is very up and honest about his heel persona. And it's like, that was a person I was then. I'm trying to make amends for it. Like, that was the driving force of their storyline last year between Seth and Dean, was like, I'm trying to make up to you for what I did previously. Whereas, you know, like, Elias on this show, last week was a heel, now he's a babyface. And it's like, no, I'm just a babyface now. I no longer tell you that your hometown sucks, but I'm not giving you a reason for why I've stopped doing that. Yeah. You just all like me now.
Yeah, it is much better. One more thing on Seth's delivery here. I think, so there's Stanislavski in acting, which is where you...
Oh, pretentious Ollie's around, is he?
Yeah, it's just academically correct, Ollie. It's method acting. It's where you use real-life emotions to make the acted emotions seem more real. And a lot of the time when Seth was saying these things to Dean, and he was getting quite emotional, like, that felt so real because it likely was real. Because he's channeling all those horrible feelings he's feeling about Roman Reigns through the promo. I thought it was this was an excellent segment. Like, this was the... I mean, it's the best thing since last Raw. I mean, I thought this show was actually quite poor, but this was by far the best thing. It was terrific, much better than anything on SmackDown.
Yeah.
www.beer52.com/WrestleTalk. Go over there, UK viewers, to get your free case of craft beer. Today we are tucking into the Pilsner. Tell me about it, Luke.
So this one again is from the Garden Brewery. It's one of, like, the standout ones from this month. And well, we've said, like, previously, what I quite like about the Garden Brewery is they literally just tell you what it is. It's no fancy names. It's like pale ale. And this is their Pilsner. Tasting notes: clean, crisp, and classic. Our take on traditional German Pilsner. Generously hopped with... I'll apologise for all of our German viewers, Dan and Mars in particular. Haltua, Milfrua, and Sars.
That sounds about right.
Yep. Fermented with a classic Bavarian yeast and a full malt bill that gives it bready and soft caramel notes.
I was going to say soft caramel notes, mainly because it says it at the bottom of the can.
Nice, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely got that by myself.
Yep.
God, I love this sponsor.
It is great. I mean, it is 10 past 12 in the afternoon.
It's never too early.
Oh, that is nice, though.
Should we do some Patreon shout-outs?
It is nice.
Twizzlers. You can't be serious with Twizzlers.
Are we sponsored by them as well, are we?
Get you annoyed?
Oh, yeah.
I felt like that. Do they usually do the sponsorship so much?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but like it's because that's
Really broke through this week.
it's the
for me.
catchphrase that's been given to you. Like, you know, like Snickers doesn't really like get some nuts. It's just get some nuts. So like you say it and it's 3 words and they're gone. With Twizzler, it's like Twizzler. You can't be serious with Twizzler.
Yeah, that got to me this week. I mean, it's hypocritical coming off the back of we just did a sponsorship bit, but Beer 52 are great.
Yeah.
And we get to drink beer while we... I wish Michael Cole had a beer on air. Loosen him up a bit.
Absolutely.
But our Patreon shout-outs to all those $25 and above Patreons where, you know, we've got a Fantasy Booking Warfare coming next weekend.
Yes, finally next weekend it does return, and we're going to be doing the Undisputed Era's main roster call-up. So our $25 and above backers can suggest Fantasy Booking Warfare topics, and that was one suggested. It was voted for by our pledge hammers, but the poll was quite a while ago. The problem was we launched the poll and then Evolution and Crown Jewel and everything else has sort of come about, and so we didn't want it to get lost in the shuffle because this is something we do for all of the SWAF Nation, but also for the people who've pledged on Patreon. So we're doing it next weekend. When it's a bit clearer.
There was the rather large matter of us not having a studio for about 2 months as well.
Well, I was saying since we launched the poll, but the previous 2 to 3 months before
it's been a long time since the last
long time since we've done it. I'm out of practice.
So thank you very much. Mo Space, Mo Problems.
Yes.
Woo!
Lovely stuff. Noah the Ark Trombley.
2 of a kind.
Yes.
Put them in there. There can only be one, our legend.
Yes, Highlander. Robert Spencer. Period. Monty Brown
Yeah, I
references
don't know
in
if anyone gets
2018.
that. Harder than its bite, Sean Barksdale.
Yes.
Woof woof.
Woof woof. Questioned the skies, Tommy Christopher. Like
Woo!
the X-Files,
Yes. The incredible Jorge Henriquez.
Yes.
Got a bit of an accent for you.
Duo XM, Michael Sands.
Yeah.
Sounds like a radio station.
Kenneth Houston, We Have a Problem. Woohoo!
Yes.
Cheers.
Like
First Man's a really good movie.
That's right. Bull Lift Club leader, Johnny Motta.
I'm guessing that was a suggested one by him.
It certainly was.
Woohoo!
You're welcome.
Cheers, guys.
We're going to have more $25 backers tomorrow. Haha, it's a Raw review looking jacked, man.
So the proper show opened with a recap of the Roman Reigns thing. Jeez, God, it makes me sad.
Every time.
Yeah, it's not getting any less
Sad.
sad, yeah.
I mean, this was very sad, but the segment later with the kids.
Yep.
That was super sad.
Because not that I forgot that Roman Reigns, that whole thing had happened, but I just, I became adjusted to Raw and I was watching Raw, and sometimes Roman isn't on Raw. So just like, it's just the Raw, yada, yada, yada. Oh no, that thing happened. Yeah. And the kids.
That's why, because we had like the gut punch of Raw last week, but then you had that really disappointing SmackDown, like a really, really bad episode of SmackDown. It was so bad it made you forget about the really sad tragedy. And then we've had all the Evolution stuff, so it almost felt like I'd almost forgotten about the Roman Reigns thing. Not in a bad way of just like, I've already forgotten about him, what a dingus. But just like, there's been so much other stuff. And then the first thing we saw on Raw today was that it was just a reminder of that gut punch again. And I was like, God dang it.
Yeah, just a week ago.
Yeah, it was just a week
It
ago.
feels strange, doesn't it?
It feels so much longer. It's weird.
Anyway, speaking of using that real life situation for heat, it comes on, after that video package, opens on Raw GM, Constable Corbin in the ring. He's got the Universal title belt over his shoulder. And he says, I wish Roman a speedy recovery and all that, but I hope he doesn't come back to Raw because this thing looks good on me.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it. I think that he did the nice bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine.
I mean, I don't think it was like, that's offensive. It's certainly not as bad as them replaying the Undertaker and Kane burying people promo. Like, that I think is way worse.
You've just got to commit, man. Like, you go in there. Yeah. You're all in.
We're all in on this. But, I saw someone post this on Twitter. I don't remember who, part of the gimmick, who just said, imagine if you haven't watched Raw for about a month and this is the first thing you see is Baron Corbin standing in the ring with the Universal Championship and be like, did he win the belt?
Yeah, that's the alternate timeline. Then Brock Lesnar comes out, and he looks lame without the pyro, doesn't he? When he does the...
Is that the only time you've ever noticed this?
I
I mean, it's been like this for over a year.
I know, but sometimes I forget. Because, like, the last time it's not like he made loads of appearances in that year. Anyway, I thought that was...
I thought it was just like, I mean, with the Lesnar thing now, he just looks dead behind the eyes. Like
just disinterested.
That's it. It's
bored
disinterested.
Behind the eyes.
Yeah, bored behind the eyes is a much better way of doing it. He just looks like, man, I mean, I'm here because I'm getting some sweet, sweet dollar bill, yo, but I'd much rather be elsewhere.
I bet that's one person who does not care about the whole controversy.
I guarantee you he doesn't, because he's just looking at his fat bank account that's just had a massive deposit put into it and just be like, whoo, on a plane trip, you say? I can catch up on those films I've missed.
So Paul Heyman cuts that spoiler promo shtick where he's, spoiler, Brock's going to win, he's going to be the new Universal Champion. One of the problems with this match now is I don't think anyone believes that.
No.
Which makes me worried that's what's going to happen for a swerve. But at least when you had the triple threat, Roman, Braun and Brock, there was some intrigue whether Braun might win. Roman was always the out-and-out favourite.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, this is what I said last week. Like, I'm so much less interested in Braun versus Brock than I was in the triple threat, which is why I was really hoping that they would add Drew into that match. And according to PW Insider, it was pitched to add Drew, because he's going over for the show, because he's in the corner of Dolph Ziggler throughout the tournaments if he doesn't get knocked down in the first round. So he is there. So apparently, according to Mike Johnson, he was pitched to be in that match. And I would have been so much more interested, because when Drew came out later, and there was barely a mention of all the stuff over these last 2 weeks between him and Braun, I was like, what a disappointment to just not follow. In a throwaway line. Like, it was just like...
I thought that was the focus of his promo.
Well, he was just like, I'm going to watch the match. And then it would cut back to Dolph being like, and also the World Cup. I felt there was so much more focus on the World Cup aspect that you may as well not mention at all. Like, Braun didn't mention anything between Drew. The commentators weren't mentioning anything between Drew and Braun. I just thought it was a bit of a disappointing follow-up to the last couple of weeks.
I didn't really mind that bit, just because I'm so confused about who's building to what at the moment. I don't know. Is it Survivor Series? I don't know.
It's Survivor Series in 3 weeks.
That's strange, isn't it?
It's so weird.
So Brock Lesnar's out there looking beefy, and then the beef multiplies when Braun Strowman comes out. He's over, because he was over as a babyface, and then we had these awkward 6 weeks where he had to be a heel to get Roman over, but now he's a babyface again. And people I think people are like, okay, let's just forget about the Dogs of War nonsense. Mm-hmm. Get these hands, these hands, and everyone's chanting that, and that they're getting close, might kiss, but Baron goes no, and puts a hand on Braun's boobie.
Yeah, error.
Yeah,
it wasn't an error. Braun power slams him, then picks him up for a second one, crowd chanting one more time. My favourite part of this, though, is as Braun is busy power slamming Baron Corbin, Brock Lesnar just picks up the belt, puts it over his shoulder. I thought it was a really nice moment, because Brock is like, oh, that's mine.
Yeah.
I had that for a long old time.
And he's just chuckling.
Yeah, it's just hilarious.
You're not going to do that to me. Yeah. I thought, so this would have been a good segment like 2 weeks ago in the feud. And I get that you've just had to change this major event, this match, because Roman's no longer in it as of last week. Well, then, come up with a better go-home angle, because this is the go-home show.
Yeah.
Don't book an angle that is really your first week of the build. Like, having one of the guys laugh at your offense to set up a match in 5 days' time. Like, that is not the time for that dynamic. You want them to either both be going at it furiously, or one's scared of the other.
Yes.
Like, this undermined it a lot. I thought, this was a bad go home segment.
But in fairness, this isn't like what the show is being built around. Like, this match is not the most important thing at Crown Jewels. The tag match is the most important thing there. So that's the one they're going to put the more time and effort into, I suppose.
Yeah, but let's not have too many good ideas.
Well, no,
is your argument.
I'm Pritcharding this.
I'm Pritchard, yeah. So really awesomely, we go into the next match, which is Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley, which, as soon as Finn Balor came out, I was like, versus Bobby Lashley. I typed in my notes before they even announced it, because that's just the way WWE do things. But what I didn't see coming is, as Finn's coming down to to the ring. Baron Corbin is being helped out by referees the other way, and they have this really nice moment where they stare at each other. Of course, they were feuding not too long ago. Finn smiles at him, just does a too sweet.
Yeah.
And Baron's character is very, very good.
Yeah,
Like
very
he
interesting.
he's not as good as Paige, but like he gets his receipt on a segment by segment basis.
Oh yeah, he's allowed to get his
Yeah.
receipts.
I think he's like so much better than Kurt Angle in this role. I'm enjoying Baron a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley. I groaned when I realised this was the match, but I thought they had a bit of I enjoyed this match.
Yeah, Leo Rush cut a bit of a promo beforehand, calling him the extra non-ordinary man that got lucky last week. Lame line, but it's supposed to be because you're meant to think that he's lame, and then he's just around the ring going, Lashley, Lashley, and it's
Pretty good.
thanks, man. It's
My man.
the man of the hour, and he's like just standing there doing that, but like Balor goes up to hit the coup de grace, and Rush just gets up and just pushes him off the top rope for the DQ. And then Lashley beats up Balor around ringside. And then after that, backstage, Lashley was with Baron Corbin, and he said, because of your performance last week and this week, I'm going to put you in the World Cup instead of John Cena, who didn't even qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the big idea to explain why one of the biggest, well, the biggest star WWE have made in the last 2 decades, really, isn't on the show that he was announced for.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Did you see John Oliver's roast?
Yes,
of
it's a
WWE?
weekly segment now, it seems.
Yeah, but I thought this week was the most damning one. Like, he even made fun of Titus World Slides.
Yeah,
in the
that's
process.
too harsh. Like you can make fun of a lot of stuff, but not that. So yeah, John Cena's not in, and this is how they write him out. And it cuts back to, because this is all dastardly heel move, Baron, because Bobby didn't even win the last. Technically, he lost last week to Balor, and he lost this week via DQ. Like, there's no reason for Bobby to be put into the World Cup. But hey, heels helping out heels, that's how it goes. Cuts to the commentary desk, and Renee Young's got this like outrage, one line of outrage. Why is this being allowed to happen? Michael Cole, yeah, but look what happened after Evolution.
Move past us, moving on, we're moving on.
Oh my god. I'm not even angry anymore. It's just all funny now. It's all ridiculously pathetically funny.
Yeah.
And that, like, I was like, that's how they've done it. That's how they've written him out. They've just one line. Yeah, because John Cena's not in it. That's why you're in it.
Yeah, he didn't really qualify though, did he? Moving on.
Like, there was so many, there was like several weeks there where they were building up, but John Cena's an all-timer, so he gets to go in first. And we were all like, but he hasn't even qualified. And now it's typical WWE. Yeah, but you said he never even qualified. Yeah, but don't use our arguments. Come up with something better.
This was very, and like, so the report is, well, that Bryan is not going to be at Crown Jewel. That's what Robbie Fox, who was the first person who reported that Cena had pulled out.
Yeah.
He is saying that Bryan is not there either.
And the Roman stuff.
And
he reported mid-Monday, like, Roman's going to have an announcement tonight.
Yes.
So he's definitely got a source in there.
Yeah, so he is saying that Bryan is not going to be at the show on Friday. And apparently they're going to record something tonight. They've announced that Bryan and AJ are having an in-ring segment. So I assume that's where they're going to announce. But according to Robbie Fox, the way that he phrased the tweet is that WWE's plan is to advertise the match like it's still happening up until the event. And then they'll just decide what's going to happen.
It's a very interesting...
Well, they were announcing
approach.
Cena for like the majority, like for the show up until like Bobby was there. They were like, Cena's still in the World Cup. Cena's going to be the World Cup.
Yeah, so I guess from WWE's warped mindset, which I don't agree with, I'm just trying to understand, this is all storyline, and in storyline, this is a match. So we will announce this storyline match in storyline until its storyline doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Which is when the angle in storyline happens at Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
So in that, I don't think they're doing anything wrong. I think psychotically, they think they're fine, when actually this is like an abhorrent business practice, but we all accept it because they've done it forever. But if any other promotion did this, like falsely advertise a match, they'd go out of business eventually, but WWE are too big to fail for now.
But onto bigger things. They announced that Becky Lynch is going to face Ronda Rousey at Survivor Series in a champion versus champion match. It's the one night of the year, Ollie Davis, that Raw and SmackDown stars go head-to-head in direct competition, despite the fact that the World Cup is also built on a final where a Raw guy will face a SmackDown guy. And it's in 3 weeks. Like, I couldn't believe it when Michael Cole said, and that match is happening in 3 weeks. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. We've had so much over the last couple of weeks. And now we've got another show, a big show, one of the big 5 shows. And it's just round the corner.
I'd argue that Survivor Series has really over-delivered since the brand split as well. You know, like, you think that was... Vince McMahon was going to cancel Survivor Series for a while because he was like, it's a dead brand, don't care about it anymore. But then they got a second wind. That's where The Rock had his first match back when he teamed with John Cena against the dastardly team of The Miz and R-Truth back in like
Awesome
2012.
Truth.
Yeah, and now like I think the brand split has really given the Survivor Series pay-per-view a new lease of life. You had that amazing Brock Lesnar Goldberg thing.
Yep.
It feels like 2K. It feels like the video game pay-per-view.
Yeah, I thought last year's show was really good.
Last year, the Survivor Series match was really cool. And you got that Brock Lesnar AJ Styles match. But this year, it's sort of been hampered. Like, imagine if you saved some of the matches that have happened on the Super Showdown and the Crown Jewel, and you save those for Survivor Series.
Yeah, like if you had the DX Brother Destruction match at Survivor Series rather than Crown Jewel.
And that's deserving of a Big 5 slot, but... Yeah, it's been diluted. We've had too many big matches, so unfortunately, Survivor Series has been lost in the shuffle. Although, this is a very exciting match announcement. So they've managed to find something. Yeah.
Although going by last year, the titles would just change hands, and it will be a completely different match.
It'll be Jinder Mahal in there, or Tamina at this rate.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited for the match. I'm glad they're doing it. I don't think putting Ronda against Becky is a good move right now. Because they're going to present Becky as this dastardly heel, and that's only going to get her cheered more, and people are going to start to boo Rousey because of it. I could see, like, that might not transpire, but I think it's a concern that's large enough to find another match.
Well, you pitched this in the office earlier, and I think it's a really, really genius idea. To share it with the rest of the class.
Okay.
I thought this was brilliant.
So, because you don't want one champion to beat the other because it makes them both seem weak. So you end in a screwy finish, and that is Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, Marina Shafir all turn up and help Rousey win. Like, it's the debut of this heel faction. There's nothing really on the line apart from bragging rights, so no one looks bad there. Becky Lynch is beaten up. She's super over. Maybe Sasha Banks and Bayley run down. But they get beaten up too. And it's just like, then you tell the story over the next couple of months of Becky trying to make amends with Charlotte. And then that builds to the WrestleMania horsewomen versus horsewomen match.
And it also allows, it kind of like gives some credence, well, it gives some, I'm not sure the word I'm after here though, because NXT have taped up until Survivor Series weekend already, which means that the NXT Women's Championship is not going to be featured on the show because they couldn't tape anything in advance unless they do some backstage segments. So this almost gives an excuse for Baszler, Duke and Shafir to not be on TV because you keep them off TV and then debut them at Survivor Series on the main roster.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's what they're going to do.
No, right, yeah.
But Survivor Series usually has a big angle recently to start the road to WrestleMania.
What was last year's?
Well, something was obviously meant to happen between Triple H. Well, it was Triple H and Kurt, which transpired into the Rousey mixed tag match.
That one.
I know, but like you had the Shane stuff as well. Obviously, there was something planned there that didn't happen. But, they started it, and the year before it was Brock and Goldberg.
Yeah. You got to remember, though, SmackDown only lost because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn interfered. It wasn't because Triple H pedigreed everyone, and then they lost.
Triple H won it for Raw and
SmackDown.
So after that very exciting match announcement, they sort of did it with an interview clip filmed after Evolution where Ronda and Becky are just both holding their championship belts, and they say, "Congratulations,
champ."
And they just kept on saying champ. Ronda's facials in this were really good.
Yeah.
She was like,
yeah, it was a really, really, it was a good little segment actually. I thought this was quite nice. And that led into a 10-woman tag, because nothing says progressive, we're moving forward with women's wrestling more than a random 10-man tag that featured the majority of the Evolution card. And it just felt very much like a Trish and Lita are still here because they were here last night. We'll just throw everyone out into a random 10-man tag. With that said, I thought it was a fun little match. And Peyton Royce was apparently very jealous that she was not a part of it. That's what she tweeted anyway. Although my first note is that Lita and Trish tried to do the poetry in motion thing, and it looked awful.
Yeah, so Jeff usually jumps off the back of Matt. Like, that's meant to be a springboard platform, I would argue. Lita uses it as a step over. So she just steps over, lands on the floor, and then does an elbow.
Well, I thought she stepped and then fell into the elbow.
It's not that good looking.
But it wasn't as bad as the Alicia Fox stuff at the end. What was that all about?
Yeah, well, she's a pioneer of the wrestling women's division.
Oh, man, do you know what? I saw someone put up this tweet. I haven't heard this interview, but apparently Alicia Fox did an interview earlier this year on Lillian Garcia's podcast where she said that she looks back on her WWE career as a joke, and she is not proud of anything that she has accomplished, and she actually is a bit embarrassed by everything.
Apart from obligatory mention of the Northern Light suplex.
Well, obviously, because her Northern Light suplex is one of the best. But she said, like, I just feel like I feel like my career's been a bit of a joke. And then, and I thought it was an evolution as well, because she was like the secondary, she was meant to be in the Pointless Battle Royal, but instead just became a second because Alexa Bliss got injured. And they had that moment during the opening package where they were like, it's the past of Trish Stratus versus the present, in a big inverted commas, with a picture of Alicia Fox. And I was like, she's not the present. Like, I know it's meant to be Alexa Bliss. And again, she was almost like a forgotten part of that match.
Yeah.
And we've been very harsh on Alicia Fox on this show. For good reason, because she hasn't had a good 2018.
She's not a good... Well, what year has she had a good version of? She was Survivor Series captain this time last year. She's fun on promos.
Yeah.
But she's not a good wrestler.
But then in this, she gets in. She blind tags herself in, which looked like it was a mistake unto itself, because Ruby Riott looked at her and like, what are you doing? But like, Fox tagged herself in, and then she what happened? Like, she went to like attack both Trish and Bayley on the outside, but sort of didn't. She just fell, and then Bayley and Trish went, and sort of looked at the floor, and then Fox got up and was like, oh, hang on, and just started attacking them again. It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
But I feel bad making fun of her now, because she said, like, my whole career's been a joke.
Yeah, well, she's not good at her job. She can leave or just like ask to not wrestle anymore. I don't know.
But I think she wants to be good.
But this match, I did enjoy this match.
I did enjoy this match.
The crowd were pretty dead for everything apart from that great twist of fate, which I've seen in Luke's notes has a really like... So Bayley and Lita hit twists of fates on people at the same time, and Luke has written in his notes, she'll remember that forever.
That's not my words. Those are the words of Renee Young.
Oh, okay.
That's why I put it in brackets.
That's lame, then.
That's so lame. Where it's just like, and that's one of the things I didn't like about this match, was just like, it felt like this was WWE going like, we've let you tag with your favourite wrestlers as a child. How great are we? And that was put over.
Welcome.
You're welcome. And that was put over on commentary because Michael Cole, Graves, and Renee are going like, God, they'll remember this forever. This is a great moment for their career. And I was like, F this.
Yeah.
And that's why I really, really hated that line of, she'll remember this forever.
The crowd went crazy for Natalya's sharpshooter. Like, more than anything. I think that might have been the loudest pop of the night.
They realised it was the finish.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, because we can't go for piss breaks in these matches now, because that's misogynistic.
Yeah, also,
so everyone's like, oh, come on, just that sharpshooter.
That's it. Also, it has every chance it could be good.
Yeah. So I did enjoy this match. But there's nothing. There's no storyline it's just 10 people just chucked in there. It's the equivalent of the creative has nothing for you battle royal.
And that was why I was really annoyed at this show, was that they did nothing coming out of Evolution. Like, there was nothing. Like, the opening segment of the show was all like, Crown Jewel's coming up. Forget all about that other stuff. Crown Jewel's coming up. And then they did this, and they announced sort of like the Ronda and like they showed pictures throughout the show, but nothing that happened in that show drove the action of this Raw the following up to it. This is the night after a pay-per-view is supposed to be a big show because that's when your storylines that come out of one show start the next one. But nothing happened here. It was just, isn't it great that we let them tag with their heroes?
Yes, that's a shame. But I mean, there is an argument to be made that Nia Jax and Ember Moon.
I literally forgot that happened on the show until I read Nia's name and I was like, oh yeah, no, that did happen.
Because that was the next segment where Nia has a shot at the Women's Championship now because she won that Creative Has Nothing For You Battle Royal, and Charlie, who had a great jumper on. I'm not like this. I've got a picture of. I didn't use it in my review. But it was just such a fun, colourful jumper.
Yeah.
Look at that.
That is a fun
Isn't
jumper.
That nice?
Yeah.
I'm just going to show it to...
That's not going to show up, is it?
I don't know. So there it is. Let me make it really bright. Oh, there's the brightest. Well, yeah, there it is. Like, it's just a vertical stripe.
With lots of colours.
Loads of colours.
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice.
Good jumper.
Good jumper, Charlie. I hope that's her gimmick now. Really comfy, snuggly-looking jumpers.
Well, we are getting into those winter months. It's an autumnal season.
I was chilly this morning, and just seeing Charlie made me feel a bit warm.
You've mentioned this so much since you've got into the office.
I'm cold today. I feel cold. But yes, so Charlie's interviewing them both. Nia's like, I can't. I'm going to wait till after Ronda's competed at Survivor Series.
Because why be in a featured match at Survivor Series, eh?
Yeah, and because you could just say, triple threat.
Or just say, no, I want to face her next week on Raw. I'm going to win the title, and then I'll have the featured match at Survivor Series against Becky Lynch, which I'll also win.
That's a very good point. And then Ember Moon rocks in and's like, well, I had the most eliminations. And it was very scripted and badly delivered all around. And they challenge each other for a match, and Nia goes, well, I'll beat you again tonight, just like I did last night. Ha ha ha, walked off. And I'm there like, oh, come on, guys. I was getting invested in something I thought you were telling, and that is Nia Jax slowly getting more and more frustrated with Ember Moon because Ember Moon keeps on winning or beating her and doing stuff like that, but they're friends. And now you're not bringing up any of that. Ember Moon didn't say any of that. That's the last month of matches they've had, and it's just Nia saying, yeah, but I beat you all the time. Like, what's the point of following or getting invested in anything because you don't care about it?
I think this is like the Daniel Bryan Brie thing that led into Super Showdown, which it was leading down the cell. You're like, that's definitely going to lead to something. I genuinely think you've made up this storyline between Jax and Ember Moon.
It's no. They were foreshadowing something. And look, they've got so many Chekhov's guns. They're Chekhov's rakes. And I'm just walking around and they're slapping me in the face like that Sideshow Bob episode. Okay, let's do something good. Elias might just be the second coming of The Rock.
Sorry, before that, they were showing these images of Evolution throughout. And there was one of these Evolution images they showed, which was the 4 horsewomen of WWE, Becky Lynch, Bayley, Banks, and Charlotte.
Feuding.
Posing with Ric Flair doing the 4 sign. And I was like, come on, guys. Like, at least pretend that they're not all friends now. Like, because that's what we're meant to be invested in, is that these two hate each other. But yeah, here you are going like, but secretly, they are the best of friends. Like, why should I care then?
Yeah.
Hated it.
Very annoying. But Elias. This was good. So, you get the... which was the big strum, and everyone pops, and Renee Young just on commentary goes, magic. I was like, you hated him. You've hated him ever since you became on commentary. Like, it's just very frustrating, the inconsistencies here. Yeah. Because Elias is a face now. Forget about all the time he was a heel.
Yeah, forget about that mega heat he got in whatever place it was, Seattle or wherever.
Yeah.
He's now a babyface, and he said that he's got a song for Baron Corbin, but he wants to go play it to him face to face. And then he had 2 back-to-back amazing moments when he's walking up the aisle, because he's still got his microphone on, his little headset thing, and he just stops at the crowd and he's like, please, sir, don't cry. It's okay.
You'll get a performance later.
It's so good. And then he walks to the back, and I think it was Dana Brooke.
It was Dana Brooke.
At first I thought it was Maurice. I was like, why is Maurice here? But then it was Dana Brooke. And he just walks to her and says, I don't have a song for you.
Well, no, she says, Elias,
Yes. Yeah.
can you play me a song later? And he goes, for you?
No.
No. And carries on walking. Then a guy dressed in a kind of chef-like outfit holding a chocolate cake, a big chocolate birthday cake, walks past. Elias stops him and goes, just take that to my dressing room, please. And then walks a few more steps and is at Baron Corbin's trainer's room.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. It was great. Really, really great stuff. And then he sang his song for Corbin, which was great. And the crowd popped for it. It sounds like hyperbole to say the second coming of The Rock. But like one of the benefits that Cena had when he was in his rapper gimmick was that he could do these songs as promos on people and get the crowd to pop for either, oh, yeah, you were going to say bitch or puppet or whatever. And you just stop before, and the crowd go, oh, you were going to say a word, yeah. And they
usually a homoerotic one if it was,
yeah. But people get into it, and it works really well,
yeah.
and which is why he's going to make a very good babyface. And they had a match with Jinder.
That's So when I say the second coming of The Rock, I mean the second coming of that one bit of The Rock, when really The Rock had so many bits. That's why he was amazing, because he could wrestle, he was charismatic, he could psych people up, he could be funny, he could be serious. Whereas Elias just has the musical comedy bit down. And so that there is an air of confidence when Elias walks around that feels quite rock.
Well, if you were that organically over, you would have that air of confidence about you. It's just like, I've got this, man.
I was really scared on that segue.
The only time I was really scared on that segue, which is when Jushin Thunder Liger went to give me a high five, and I was in a buzz of like, man, that performance went really well, and Jushin Thunder Liger's going to give me a high five, and then as part of my brain suddenly went, don't run into him, don't lose control of the segue and run over Jushin Thunder Liger with a segue.
Because they're controlled by the handles, the ones we had. If you removed your hand and that sent you going left into the stage, that would have been the best possible outcome. But after all this great babyface comedy stuff, it was completely flattened out by a brief, uninteresting match with Jinder. And as much as you can go, well, it was a booked, boring match, Jinder's not over right now, Elias in the ring doesn't do anything. Really?
The most uninteresting thing about Elias is his wrestling. He is an incredible promo. He is very good at capturing a crowd and having that crowd eating out the palm of his hand. But it's as Pritchard says, once the bell rings, you just lose all interest in it.
Which is problematic for a wrestler. Now, this was a point. I haven't had this for a while. I was quite enjoying Raw up until this point. And I thought, man, I wish Raw was 2 hours. Mm-hmm. Obviously we all do, but I've gotten used to it now. I don't think that often. But it's like, if this was the penultimate or anti-penultimate segment of the show, that's a hell of a show. The final 2 bits could be dud. But I could still walk away and go, hey, I didn't feel like that was a waste of 45 minutes.
Yeah. The one thing, the real big positive you can say about SmackDown is that it goes by so quickly because it's a 2-hour show. Whereas there are parts of Raw where you are like, okay, I'm ready for this to be over.
Yeah, because then it was like, there wasn't much else good apart from the Ambrose and Rollins stuff after this.
Yeah.
Because then we got a Kurt Angle promo, which was effectively a Kurt Angle video package to explain to the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince who he is.
Surely he knows, though, which is why this got like a big...
mid-90s.
Yeah, but this whole tournament has got such a mid-2000s feel to it. You've got to think he must have loved that period as well. This is such a ruthless aggression tournament, with the exception of Rollins.
It's a ruthless aggression tournament of... So that's I think that's because those are the only people who are still wrestling. And if it was up to the Crown Prince, it would be Taker, Kane, Attitude Era and before. Yeah. That's the era he knows.
Mm-hmm. Once Bret Hart there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought the funniest thing about this was that, Kurt then cuts this promo from this gym where he is very sweaty. Like Bobby Splashley levels of dripping with sweat. And speaking of, he then says, I look forward to Bobby being in the tournament. And I'm like, how did you know? Baron only added him an hour ago.
It's like it's scripted. Maybe just cut that. Maybe that was live. I felt like Kurt definitely had a bit more fire in him than the previous weeks. I wonder if he actually saw some of the feedback for his terrible, terrible promo the previous week. But it's still overly scripted. Like that, Kurt's strength is presumably bullet points, but it's not. Whatever he's done since his WWE return, that is not Kurt's strength.
I wonder if it's like Kurt said in his interview with Jericho that in an era when a lot of the guys had bullet points, he had all of his written down for him verbatim. But it was Vince McMahon that would coach him on how to deliver those lines. And I wonder if now he just doesn't have the Vince there to say, this is how you need to deliver these scripts.
Well, it was good at promos in Impact or TNA.
I don't know why.
So I just think they haven't got good writers, WWE, compared to...
Well, that's obviously... Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a possibility.
So next up, continuing the sort of funk, was the Ascension, Chad Gable and Bobby Roode and AOP in a 3-way match. And stupid me, I got excited. Because they were putting it over as the tag team champions. It's effectively vacated because Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose have imploded. Nobody knows what's going on with the tag belts. Here are 3 teams that have got moderate pushes recently, especially AOP. And I thought, you know what, we could be in for a 10-15 minute match here, which starts to position the new tag team champions.
Okay.
Especially with AOP and Bobby Roode and Chad Gable in there. And AOP come down, and Ascension and Roode and Gable gang up and start wailing on AOP. And I thought that is what you do as part of a structure of a longer match. Mm-hmm. Because you take them out, and then you have a Ascension versus Gable and Roode match, and then AOP come in, and then you all brawl, and then you double down, and then it breaks down, and blah, 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 blah. So I thought at least 10-minute match. And I was getting excited. And then, not only did AOP not win... it was a match that was over in 3 minutes. I thought it was a tremendous waste.
Yeah, although Gable and Roode have got a new finisher.
That's the one positive.
It's a Chaos Theory into a neckbreaker, which is quite nice.
Looks really cool.
It does look really cool. I just thought it was funny that this is a follow-up to an angle from 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, this was just treading water.
Yeah.
And at worst is starting to flatten out AOP.
But it was no worse than the other tag match that we got later on.
Yeah. So then you got you got this Roman promo, which was a bunch of Make-A-Wish kids telling Roman that he can get through this.
Yep. Not sad.
Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose after that. Then we got Bobby Lashley saying that he's going to win the World Cup to Charlie, wearing an awesome jumper. And then we got that payoff to the Nia Jax Ember Moon match, where Cole opened the match by saying Nia will take on her best friend, Ember Moon.
Ooh, friends.
God, that's lame.
Well, is that lame? Or is this Tamina-Nia Jax feud that Vince seems to think is what everyone wants to see? That's what's lame?
Oh, it's all lame. It's just varying degrees of lame. So they wrestle for a few minutes. I thought this was going to finally be the start of the other Chekhov's rake I seem to have walked into, of Ember Moon versus Nia Jax. Nia turns heel for the 100th time, and Ember Moon is the plucky babyface. That is not what happened, and it seems that it was all to build Tamina-Nia Jax, because Tamina's music interrupts after a little bit of a match, nothing special, and Tamina has a stare. Nia, with the distraction, just hits a leg drop for the win.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened. They both sort of stood there, and then Nia was like, "Oh, I'm not distracted anymore," and and hit Ember Moon and hit the leg drop for the win. Because Tamina, she came out to less than 0 reaction, and then they had this stare off that had even less, and then Tamina just left, and this happened at Evolution as well. And I thought, while I was watching that Evolution Battle Royal, they're going to form a tag team.
Yes, yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Yeah. I thought when Tamina came out, I was like, Nia's turning on
That's
Ember.
It, yes,
that's
this is
pretty
it.
Cool. Yeah.
But it's not. It's building towards a match between the two. And, man, not interested in that match at all.
Oh, no.
Poor old Ember.
I mean, so So I think there is still the possibility it could turn into a tag team.
Yeah?
Because it wasn't decisive. It was a bit like, oh, Nia still used that distraction to beat her best friend. That's pretty evil. And Tamina didn't do anything to Nia. She just backed off. So maybe they're going to play it out in a contrived way, which doesn't really make any sense, but it's all to build to a bit where Nia then turns on Ember when you think she was going to turn on Tamina.
Cool. I'm sure
Yeah.
Ember Moon will then find a new best friends to form a tag team with.
Usually Natalya.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet you it's Natalya.
So that was lame. And then we got Lucha House Party. Re-debut. I can't remember if they were ever.
No, this is
an
their
act.
Raw debut.
Good, because that's what I used as the video title.
Oh, you went with that one, did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to get the silhouettes and the question marks in.
I guess so.
And so, yeah, Lucha House Party. I love Lucha House Party.
Oh, really? You're that guy?
What the hell, man?
Me and Laura, I guess it was me and Laura that had this conversation where we said, like, it is the worst tag team name.
Oh, it's the worst tag team name, but those three, me and you discussed on Ramble Club, they should be on a main roster.
Those three, love all those three. What I don't love is them coming out with the pinata that they've got named, the clacker. That made me hate this act. Hate this act. I want this act to be fun. That's not fun, but at the same time, this act
They've
is
got
not
party in the name.
This act.
How are they not fun?
Well, you tell me. But this act is not made for me. This act is not made for a guy in his 30s. This act is designed for kids. This act is designed for kids who are like, that is a fun-looking pinata. The clacker makes a fun sound. They're a fun little group. They all wear masks. So it's fine. It's fine that I don't like the act. It's not made for me.
So, yeah, I guess the packaging of the act isn't very good.
Nope.
But the core group of three fantastic masked wrestlers,
Thumbs up.
that's what I'm into.
Thumbs up for that.
And on 205 Live, we watched that excellent match, which made our top 5 matches of the month for August, I think.
Yep.
Against Tony Nese, Buddy Murphy, and...
It was Tony Nese and Buddy Murphy. It was a tag match.
It was just a tag match, yeah. And that was extraordinary. It was a really, really good match. And I was like, you know, these guys should be on SmackDown or Raw as just a really fun lifter of spirits. And when they came out, there's problems with the sort of racial stereotyping, and it's just very one-dimensional. But this is like another way to flesh out that tag division, which now has a power vacuum in the top. I thought we were going to get like a 10-minute match to put them over.
This is your problem, man, is that you had so much more high hopes than...
I thought this was the last segment, like the penultimate segment. I didn't know Dolph Ziggler was going to face Apollo Crews. How did that push go? Pushed down a cliff. And it was not a match designed to get them over. It was a match to say, they're here.
Well, was it a match to say they're here? Because they kept saying that Kalisto has got a spread in GQ. And that was why I was like, oh, so that's why they're on this show. Because Kalisto was in GQ, mainstream audience want to watch Raw to see the guy that they saw in GQ. So, maybe I'm wrong on that, but because they kept saying it over and over again, I was like, well, I guess that's why this match is happening.
I was more hopeful that they're joining the Raw tag division.
I could be wrong. They deserve to be on the Raw tag team roster. And Raw could do with them, really. But, I mean, aside from the fact that, as you said, they have flattened out every team. By the way, they beat the Revival. What happened to that push? Like, you want to talk about failed pushes. Not failed pushes, stopped pushes. And we now look at this Raw tag team division that is a tag team that don't have the belts. Well, they do, but they're not. Are they vacating the belts? Are they not? We don't know. And you've got Lucha House Party, possibly, but they didn't really get much of a showing here. They just did some stuff. Revival, flattened out. The Ascension, non-existent. AOP, flattened out. Gable and Rude, flattened out. And the B team.
Heath Slater and Rhino.
And Heath Slater and Rhino, where have they been? So you've got 7 teams there, and not one of them looks like, oh, they could be the next Raw Tag Team Champions.
Yeah. It's depressing.
That's astounding.
And they didn't even. Granted, I wouldn't have done it to the Revival anyway. I would have had them face Heath Slater and Rhino or something. Lucha House Party here.
2 other guys from 205 Live.
Yeah, but that they just won the match in a fluky kind of manner in 5 minutes. Like, who does that get over?
Certainly not the Revival.
Yeah. Then we got Dolph Ziggler coming out with Drew McIntyre. Drew says, we split up the Shield, and now I'm focused on Braun and Brock at Crown Jewel.
Where's their automatic rematch clause? Where's they lost the tag titles last week, and that was not even mentioned.
Hey, tell Kevin Owens. Where's his Universal title rematch? And Dolph cuts a pretty decent promo on Kurt, I thought. It's just a shame that a lot of what Ziggler says is kind of empty.
Hollow.
Yeah, because, he's been wasted over all these years. And it turns into a match against Apollo Crews, which Crews does some impressive bits like the overhead press and the standing moonsault, but ultimately was beaten.
Yeah, he took 90% of the match and then lost. So doesn't really help Dolph's claim of being the best in the world. Doesn't really get over Crews. Like, no one gets over. And it was just incredible that they didn't mention the tag titles. And yeah, what was the point? Although I didn't say this earlier, but there was this hilarious moment, about not following up on things during people's entrances, or Drew and Dolph lost the tag team titles last week. Not even a mention of it. Seth came out and did his regular entrance, the entrance he would do on any other week, despite the fact that he's had this real big drama. And Michael Cole says he must be cut up on the inside. Dear.
And the main event was Undertaker and Kane coming out to cut a spooky promo.
It's all about hell and stuff, and souls and whatnot.
Which I just have no interest in. It feels outdated.
I had to rewind one part of this though, because I think Taker mucked up one of his lines.
Oh yeah,
like he said that it will not be the end of an era, but the end of your era. I think that's what he said, but he went your error. And then,
that's just like him, the rolling eye equivalent of gargling.
And then just sort of looked to the floor, and he had this look on his face that went, "Damn it,
damn it, Mark!
He
screwed up again,
he
Mark."
looked at this face like, "Oh, dang it!" And then he just sort of walked away from it, and Kane had to be like, "Souls and hell and whatever."
Tax fiscal reform. So I mean, this was a feud that is most definitely outdated and past its sell-by date. But there were enough smoke and mirrors there. This is what I've kind of figured out for myself. There was enough smoke and mirrors there to make it fun. And I was certainly into it at Super Showdown. And, I thought the build for that was fantastic. But it doesn't take much to puncture the fact that this is all decrepit and a bit lame. And it just so happens that a lot has punctured that with real-life events. So, yeah, I've suddenly become very not into this.
Yeah, it's incredible how... Yeah. This is Shawn Michaels' out-of-retirement match. His first match in 8.5 years. And here I am going not asked, mate.
Yeah, against The Undertaker.
And it's incredible that I'm so unbothered by this. Anyway, they call out DX. Triple H comes out, to throw his merchandise.
Oh, he looks so lame.
Well, yeah. And then...
Do you want to hear what I called them on the Raw review? Best is best for Saudi Arabian business.
It was... When it was DX 2006, it really felt like your dad's on their... on his second stag do for his second marriage. And now here it feels like they're on their third stag do for their third marriage. At least. And it does feel very sad. And he's there with the glow sticks. And I'm like, you are in your 40s. Pack it in. And then he kind of goes oh, but where's Shawn? And he sort of looks to the back. And then Kane, for whatever reason, gets out the ring. Shawn runs in and he super kicks Undertaker. And then they go, oh, yeah, suck it. And I'm like, guys, you're in your 40s. Pack it in.
Yeah.
It feels so sad. This is it's sad.
Yeah, and there's the other, just as a concept of DX, which is an anti-establishment act.
Yep.
And Triple H is the COO of the company, and Shawn Michaels is a head trainer down in NXT.
Yeah.
So I just don't buy into any of it. And you want to buy into stuff in predetermined professional wrestling because That's the point. If you don't buy into it, it all falls apart. Taker sits up, and he sits up. He kind of rolls up like a teddy bear roll. I don't know if he's not as good at the sit-up spot as he once used to be.
Well, he's got to save that for Saudi Arabia. You got to put all your effort into that one. Here it's just on Raw. Like, it doesn't matter.
Saving the core strength.
Exactly.
So overall, I thought that was not a great episode of Raw at all.
No,
apart from the Ambrose Rollins stuff.
I like the Seth Dean stuff, but that was more or less about it.
Yeah.
Elias's promo was good, but it led to the Jinder match. And I'm excited for Becky Ronda, but like that's not really this show. So I thought it was a bit of a boring show. Poor.
Yes, yeah, I agree. So that's all we've got time for today. Please click the videos that have just appeared on our laps to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk things, and head over to beer52.com/WrestleTalk to get your free case of craft beer, UK viewers only. I've been Ollie Davis, this has been Luke Owen, and that was Rambling.